All right, I'm making another one of these videos because I think with what just came out today on September 30th, it's worth sharing some thoughts on. And I wanted to get out in front and do this because, why not? I have some opinions, and well, by damn it, if I've got opinions and there's an internet for me to share my opinions, I have to do it. I got to do it. So let's start with what happened. Let's go right here and get this out of the way first. Back on the 23rd, September 23rd, 2024, there were some bans, and they were doozies of bans in the Commander community. Real quick, before I get into any of that, I don't really give a flying rat's backside about Commander. The only reason I'm doing this is to make a larger point about proxy cards or counterfeit cards, whatever you want to call them. And my general argument is that proxy cards, good grief, counterfeit cards are actually good for the game of Magic. Truly, actually good for the game of Magic. And by not using them, you're probably hurting yourself. Right? There's some distinctions there. Let me make a note here. Prob hurting self. Not using proxies. Okay, got that note written down. Now let's move into what happened here about a week ago exactly as of today. So on the 23rd of September, some bans came down the line. Ooh, and they were big bans. They were spicy bans. Dockside Extortionist, which when it enters the battlefield, you create a bunch of treasure tokens where the number of artifacts and enchantments an opponent's control. So if there's a lot of enchantments and art, you can get a whole bunch of treasure tokens. Jeweled Lotus, it's like Black Lotus, but specifically for your commander. 3 free mana, along with a land and Soul Ring. You can get your commander out there, a 5-cost commander out there on turn 1. Mana Crypt, a similar issue here. Costs 0, gives you 2 mana. So again, with a Soul Ring and a land, you can do some janky stuff right away on turn 1. And then Nadu, Winged Wisdom. I don't know that anybody cared about this card as much as Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus because there were big spicy versions of that card, and Nadu had just come out, so hadn't really had time to make much of an impact on the game, and not in the same way that Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus has. It was not a chase rare, chase mythic the way these were, and there was multiple versions of these, and there were some really fancy high-end chase versions of Jeweled Lotus and Mana Crypt. These were by far the biggest deal of this whole thing. Okay, the reason by and large that was a big deal to most people, as far as I can tell, is that those cards were fun to play. It's fun to ramp your commander and get it out there right away on the occasional time that it happens. It's not happening every single game. And then the other reason it's a big deal is because those are worth money. Those cards are worth money, or they were. Let's see what they are on TCG Player right now. Jeweled Lotus in the extended art one is $112 for Jeweled Lotus right now. $112. Let's see what else we've got here. Jeweled Lotus, there's another one, $120, $484, and this is after these bans. So I'm not sure how much this one had been worth, but okay, $500 odd. Had peaked, yeah, 528 there according to this little graph. So a significant sum of money for sure. And it does a cool thing. This is a gorgeous art. I mean, that is stunning art. No ifs and or buts about that. So if you open this up in Bosch and Roll, which I'm going to be going through, talks about that very thing. Be going through some of this video where he talks about this stuff. This one right here, where Magic Pro player and collector reacts to, I don't know how you're pro collector, but whatever, and collector reacts to Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus commander bans, MTG, EDH, yeah, okay, cool. We're going to go through some of that because he's flat out wrong on some points. He's a longtime player, a longtime collector. There's some neat stuff in here that he talks about. I like it, neat opinions that I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good take that only somebody with his years of experience could have. But he's completely blatantly wrong on some things, even says that he's wrong and doesn't know what he's talking about on some things, but then goes on to say this is why it has to be this way. So that's interesting. But we're going to break all that down throughout the course of this video. My main thesis to this video is that counterfeit cards at this point in time, with Magic being 30 years old, does not hurt Wizards of the Coast. Does not hurt them at all, in the least, one tiny bit. You've got people that are coming out of the woodwork these days. Okay, maybe not that extreme, but there are people coming out saying the reason that counterfeit cards and proxies, whatever you want to call it, are so bad for the game, and Bosch and Roll makes this point here, and I'm going to play it here just in a moment, is because Wizards of the Coast, the creators of this game that you claim to love, Mr. I'm going to go and not buy the cards directly from Wizards of the Coast, they're not making any money. There's people that work at Wizards of the Coast. They got family, they got friends, they've got a roof to keep over their head, they've got food, they've got bills to pay. They've got to. How are they going to afford all this stuff if you're not supporting them by not buying their product? Well, most people that I know building decks buy them from the secondhand market. Hold that. I know where you're going. Hold on. They're not buying packs to get those things. They might occasionally, but once you understand how the secondhand market works and you're not a little kid that just wants to go and spend your allowance on a pack and crack it open to see what you get, and whoa, the excitement, the rush of that, the dopamine hit of opening a pack and maybe getting something. My height of opening packs ever was back in, I don't know, late 90s, I think, like 97 or something. It was when the Decipher Star Wars game was out and the Dagobah set had just come out. And I went into this local game store where I lived in Tucson, Arizona. They had one pack left. I said, yeah, I'll take that for the $2 or $3 or whatever it was. Opened it up and I got Yoda. That is the crowning moment of opening packs. I've opened boxes and cases since then of different card games and I've gotten some cool things. But that nothing, I don't think, will ever top that. As a little kid, spending the tiny bit of money that I had on this pack and getting the card at the time. Or maybe Luke Skywalker was the card, but Yoda was up there for sure. That was so cool. My brothers and I were just lost our minds. It was the coolest feeling in the world. And by buying proxies, one, you don't get that feeling. Well, I'm in my mid-years now. I'm 40 years old, and I don't know that there's much of anything that gives me that feeling anymore. Seeing my family, seeing my wife gives me the feeling to a certain degree, but it's not the same. When you're a little kid and the world is exciting and new and everything is full of possibility, it's not quite the same. It's different. But man, that rush, that high lasted me a week, maybe longer. Looking in Scry. You remember that magazine? You probably don't. You're probably too young to remember that magazine. Looking in there, seeing what it was worth. What was it? Oh my goodness, it's worth, I don't even remember now. $30, $50, $70 or something. Holy crap. If I sold this, I'd have $70. I could buy a whole box now. Oh! It was a big deal. It was a really big deal for me. By buying proxies or counterfeit cards, you don't get that feeling. And yes, you're not supporting Wizards of the Coast. But Wizards of the Coast is making their money primarily, from what I understand, in the realm of Magic, from Arena, Magic Online, and yes, sealed product. But most of the money that they're making from sealed product is to huge resellers like Card Kingdom and Star City Games and these other places that buy pallets at a time for thousands upon thousands of dollars to bust open, to get the cards, to then sell as singles. Amazon, huge retail, Walmart. Your Timmy's going out and buying a pack of 2 or 3 at a time is not what's keeping Wizards of the Coast afloat. It's not. Not even in a tiny bit. If all the Timmys stopped buying their 1 a pack a month allowance money, the Wizards wouldn't even notice. They wouldn't. It would be hardly a blip on their radar. That is not a high revenue stream. The argument that it is hurting the game is utterly stupid. It is short-sighted and pathetic. If you think of the world of Magic the Gathering as a tile set, a quilt. If you have a budget, and you do, everybody has a budget, your budget might be millions of dollars. Mine isn't. Your budget for Magic the Gathering is some amount of dollars. And if your amount of dollars is not thousands of dollars, then you cannot buy, whether by choice or situation, certain cards. Well, I could save up, or the Timmies, they could save up instead of buying all those packs, and after X amount of months, days, years, whatever, then they could buy an Underground Sea. Yeah, okay. You are correct. You are correct. Or maybe they just don't get to do that. Okay, yeah, that is a thing too. You can make that argument. And this isn't like buying a Civic over a Lambo, because a Lambo does things that the Civic doesn't. It gives you a certain amount of prestige, I suppose. It gives you a certain amount of social standing when people see you driving down the street with that car. It does a lot more than just get you from point A to point B. And it does it in a way that the Civic can't do. So making the argument that a land is a land is a land is just wrong. No, it's not. A car is a car is a car. Nope, no, it's not. It's not a means of transportation. That's not all it is. So a dual land, one of the original, like, four, the Taigas and Tropical Island and Scrublands and all those, are not the same as the ones that they've released since. The Shocklands, the Bond lands, they're not the same. They're just not. And so anybody saying, well, you can just replace it with Dark Slick Shores is basically the same thing as Underground Sea. No, it's not. No, it is not. Underground Sea is inarguably better. But you just go and get it anytime. Dark Slick Shores is not an island and a swamp, so you can't fetch it. It doesn't come into play tapped ever, unless there's some other extenuating, put a card into play tapped, whatever. But on base, you play it, it's out, it's ready to go, boom. Produces two different types of mana. They could power creep it and make it a three-way, or just a land that gives you whatever you want. Sure, you could do that. You could do that. But if they don't want to do that, and they haven't done it yet, then those are the de facto best lands in the game for what they do. And if you cannot purchase those cards, then you are effectively gatekept. You're blocked out. You are restricted from playing a huge swath of this game, Magic the Gathering. You just cannot interact with a large portion of the totality of Magic the Gathering. Not in the way that other people can. You cannot show up to a Legacy tournament at Mox Boarding House in Seattle or Portland or Bellevue, wherever they hold their Legacy nights. I know they do in Seattle over on Leary Way, because I've been there. I ran the events for Flesh and Blood for about a year, and every night, on the same night that I was running Flesh and Blood, there was anywhere from 12, if it was a really crappy night out and rainy and drizzly, minimum 12, upwards to 30 people playing Legacy every week, week after week after week. It was a really good showing for Legacy. And I'd walk through between rounds when people were playing Flesh and Blood and they didn't need me over there, and I'd look, and every single deck I saw was thousands of dollars just in the mana base. Every single one. Maybe with a few exceptions. Occasionally there'd be somebody playing a budget mono red burn deck or something, but usually I'd see Underground Seas and Tropical, the whole slew of things that people were playing. Were all of those cards real? I don't know. I don't care. People were playing the game that they loved. Now, what would really make me smile and giggle is if I knew for a fact, maybe I'd talk to somebody, that this guy's deck was full of proxies and he had spent, let's say, less than $200 on his entire deck, and he's playing a mirror match of the same deck, let's say Reanimator at the time, and the guy that he's sitting across had purchased his entire deck straight from Card Kingdom and spent $3,500 on it. That would be so amusing to me. And then you'd have to take a step back and you'd have to go, what does it matter that this guy paid $200? Let's go crazy and say it was $350. And this guy paid 10 times as much. What does that matter? Because at the end of the day, really all they're doing is playing a game. Let's say they're playing chess. One guy decided to sit down with ivory, with silver, mother of pearl, and platinum and diamond encrusted white pieces. And the other guy has black pieces that were carved out of plastic. He got from Temu for $1. Does that matter? Does it matter? Well, it's not the same, man. It's not the same because the one guy, it's not a company. Chess is anybody can make it. It's not. You're not depriving the company of that. Who fucking cares? And if this company is going to whip snap you around the way that they do with these bands and those bands, and they have the power on somebody's whim because of the health of the game to reduce somebody's net value if you've invested in Magic, and I'm not saying that's a wise move. I definitely don't think it is, but hey, no financial advice here. That people can do that on a whim is insane. Insane. This would not fly in the regulated Wall Street market. You cannot have stocks just go from $100 value to a tenth of that overnight. I mean, you can, but it's not because some arbitrary person came out and said, oh, we're banning this because we think this or that. There's so many other factors that go into the stock market. And you might say, well, board members this and that, and people get fired. Okay, it's not the same. It is not the same. Those are companies and things, and people might make the argument that it is the same at the end of the day. It's all effectively the same thing. And all right, look, I hear that argument, but it really isn't. It's similar. It's similar, but it's not the same. Let's jump over to this Bosch and Roll video, and I'm going to piece apart why I think he's wrong on a few of these things. I'm going to play it a little bit faster because I imagine you've heard it. It's got 36,000 views. So if you know who Bosch is and you pay attention to this kind of thing, then there's a good chance you've heard it. Anyways, I'm just going to play the beginning here where he says my personal collection and disclosures, and then go into the conclusions at the end. So let's get into this.
Magic bands. Some disclosures from my point of view. I've been collecting Magic since I was 9 years old. I love this game. I've built a career around this game. All of that remains true, no matter what I say.
Okay, we got to pause there for a second because that's going to put a particular spin on these things. He is invested in this game, invested in a way that most people aren't going to be. He says that he's built his career around this game. And I believe that he even makes a point during this video that for the past 3 years, this is what he does as his full-time job. He's got 34,000 subscribers, and between, I suppose, tournaments and doing the videos and maybe sponsors, he's able to make enough money to live off of. Okay, cool. That's great. But that's not most people. So he has a particular take on this that you or I probably don't.
I say in this video, I am not quitting Magic, and I'm still going to continue owning Magic cards. I like owning Magic cards. I like expressing myself through different treatments based on the different vibe of the deck, and owning cool foils, or specifically not foiling out a certain deck because just the vibe is better as a non-foil deck.
I think that's true of most of us. Many of us have the exact same views. This one I want to bling out because it kind of goes with the theme, kind of the vibe of it. It's artifacts, so I like the idea of them all being shiny artifacts. Cool. And this other one over here, it's a green deck. It's squirrels, so it doesn't really make sense for them to be green. It's all little animals, and I've got some Bloomburrow stuff in there, and I don't want squirrels to be shiny. Okay, fair enough.
I like that the game offers all those things. To the proxy everything crowd, the people who believe it is foolish to own even a single Magic card, because why would you do that if you just have a printer? Well, without someone buying Magic cards, you would not have Wizards of the Coast to make Magic for you to print cards of it.
Who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? At this point, that is a moot point. 30 years of history this game has with something like, I don't even know, 20, 30,000 unique cards? More than 10,000. Do you honestly think that this game, with the millions of players around the world and the billions, if not trillions of cards in existence, and all the local game stores, and all of the events that happen every single week in every single state, in many countries around the world, You think that's just gonna, oh, there's no more Wizards of the Coast. Let's assume that everybody could print cards to the quality in their home with a $2 printer, it to the exact same specifications. It's a replicator from Star Trek, and it makes the card identical, indistinguishable on a molecular level. Wizards of the Coast is deleted from existence. Do you think Magic, the game, just goes up in smoke? If you do, then you must be so, I don't even, simping so hard for Wizards of the Coast, think that they're this omnipotent power that is so powerful, so controlling, so much a linchpin to this game, that you attribute the success of the game to Wizards as opposed to the community that shows up week after week after week to play this game. Them going away, Wizards of the Coast would not be the end of Magic. Not for years and years and years. Android Netrunner is a tiny game, infinitesimally tiny in comparison, but it has a fervent fan base that wanted to see this game continue, and you can go and buy, I don't even really understand what these are, but they're like Android Netrunner new cards. You can buy these box bundle things. I think it's Null. Yeah, is this it? Null Signal here? Okay. So what is Netrunner? You can go, okay, products. I've seen these at game stores. System Gateway Meet Remastered Edition. Is that it? I don't know exactly which one it is, but it's a little box, and you can get them and purchase them. Learn more, expansion packs. Online store. Okay, let's see what the online store looks like. Products. So you can get all these different products. I'm not sure how this is legal. I don't understand it. I haven't looked into it, but apparently you can buy these, and I've seen them at game stores. It's cards. The game exists. It's doing well. It's still being played, and yet there's no who is it? That was the people that make the living card games. Living card. Yeah, who the hell was that? Somebody. Fantasy Flight Games. There we go. Fantasy Flight Games. They're not in control of it anymore. They didn't want to continue the license, so they didn't renew it with Wizards, and Wizards isn't doing it. So this other company came in, I guess, and is now printing the cards. Again, I don't know how that's legal, but they are, and the game isn't dead. But there's no controlling entity, from what I can tell, making the cards. If you truly think that Magic would die if Wizards of the Coast died, I don't even know what to tell you. That's absurd. It's beyond absurd. There are so many examples in history where a company's gone away and the fan base has continued to make it happen. Video games, this has happened. The servers go offline, but other people pick it up and renew it. Like, this is just wrong. Plain, flat out wrong.
Anymore. You also would not have without someone buying Magic cards. You would not have Wizards of the Coast to make Magic for you to print cards of anymore. You also would not have local game stores to go to.
Okay, let me play this again.
Buying Magic cards. You would not have Wizards of the Coast to make Magic for you to print cards of anymore. You also would not have local game stores to go to play your fake cards. So,
you wouldn't have game stores, as though game stores only exist because Magic exists. That's, again, wrong. 100% wrong. Magic cards are a revenue stream for local game stores, and it might maybe for some be a large portion of their revenue, but it is not the totality of the revenue, not 100%. Maybe there are some game stores that strictly do Magic, but boy, they are taking a huge risk by doing that. Anybody that comes in, they search them up on Google Maps. Oh, here it is, game store. Ring, ring. Oh, hi. Do you sell video games? Oh, no, we're not that kind of game store. We sell card games. Oh, okay, great. Do you have Pokemon? My son's looking for that, actually. Nope, don't have Pokemon. Oh, okay. There's another one that he was looking for. Was it Magic that he wanted? No, it's not Magic. Oh, okay, well, that's all we sell. Oh, that's right. Yu-Gi-Oh? You don't have Yu-Gi-Oh? Nope. Oh, do you have any board games? Okay, I think we could get some board. No, only Magic. Oh, okay. Well, all right, bye. No game store that I've ever been to sells just Magic. Online stores, okay, sure. But in that case, your marketplace is the world. You're not limited to a zip code or neighboring zip codes that people are going to drive to pick up stuff there. You have to have other things on your shelf. It'd be like a food store that says, a food store that only sells, I don't know, one particular kind of bread. Oh no, we're not that kind of grocery store. We don't have produce or meat or no, it's just we're just bread. And you're the only grocery store in this town? Yeah, we thought it'd be a really good idea. That's a really bad idea, huh? Okay. Continuing.
So you are not supporting this community. I don't know what to tell you.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You are supporting the community by playing the game. By playing the game. That's what supports the community. Bosch, you're so wrong. It's painfully wrong. And here's a point that you never hear people talking about. I certainly don't. If that person has access to more of the quilt, the whole of Magic, and they can go and purchase some dual lands from someplace, some proxy, some counterfeits, whatever you want to call it, and they're purchasing to play, not to flip around and try and resell and bamboozle somebody else. That I have an issue with. That is definitely criminal behavior, and that is absolutely 100% wrong. If you go to some whatever printer, purchase Magic cards, and then you go to TCG Player trying to resell those to make a profit because you want to make rent, look, I understand making rent is harder and harder these days. I get that, but scamming people and tricking them and lying to them, knowingly lying to them, that's wrong. That's completely wrong. That's super, super duper fucked up. But if you're buying them to play with for your own use, what is the problem there? Oh, well, you're not supporting the community, man. You didn't buy them from the local game store. The local game store that only has Magic products? Well, how about this? Again, looping back around to what I just mentioned that people don't talk about. If I can go and get those Magic, those proxy cards, let's say I want 4 Underground Seas and 2 Tropical Islands. We're looking at, I don't know, 3K. If I get damaged ones with the corners ripped off because somebody's dog bit it and then farted out the backside, okay, maybe $1,000. Maybe, probably not for 4 Underground Seas and 2 Tropical Islands, but maybe. Maybe. Let's go with that, $1,000. Maybe you don't have $1,000 to spend on 6 pieces of cardboard. So you go, how about I spend $20, 20 whatever dollars, $30, whatever it is to get the counterfeit proxy cards. Now you have the most expensive part of that deck, and maybe you will go to the game store to purchase the rest of the pieces that you need because maybe you can't find all of the other ones, and maybe you would like to own them, real cards, but you just can't justify thousands of dollars for a few pieces of cardboard. But you get the other ones. So in that sense, you are helping the community, and you are helping the local game store, and you are participating in playing the game. So you're helping another way. And you are furthering the love of this game. But, oh no, says Bosch and Roll, if you didn't buy those cards real, then you don't get to play the game. You don't get access to that format. Or you play a deck that you don't like. You play Mono Red Burn. I hate red. I don't want to play that. Well, then cough up the big bucks, boy, because you don't get to play if you don't get to play. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. Learn to code. Get a different job. Come on. Come on.
I'm not anti-proxy. It's just not for me, and it cuts out a
Sounds like you're anti-proxy. Sounds like you are, but okay.
portion of what I like about the game. I do like owning things and collecting. That is an appeal to me about this game. It is a collectible.
Okay, that's great. That's fine for you, but you can't go and tell other people that they're wrong for doing that and that they're not supporting the community. I don't know what to tell you. If you don't want to, then do whatever the hell you want. Nobody's got a problem with that. I don't give a shit. You can go and roll up your cardboard pieces and smoke them for all I care. I don't care. But when you tell me that I'm not supporting the community, I don't think you know what supporting the community means.
Card game. That said, I own 6 Mana Crypts and 5 Jewel Lotuses. The retail value pre-ban of around $3,000. A couple of them were very nice, like the top end. I have like the Masterpiece Mana Crypt. I have the textured foil Jewel Lotus. That is a lot of money represented. But a couple things about that figure is one, I wasn't going to sell them today. So they are worth $0 until you sell them. So they're still worth the same $0 they were to me before the ban. It's all kind of theoretical money that nobody took $3,000 out of my bank account. Second of all, like I said, I've been collecting since I was 9 years old.
That's a really good point. That is 100% correct. That is 1,000% true. But when a Wall Street investor talks about his net worth, or somebody that has a whole lot of stocks and bonds and this and that and a bunch of assets talk about his net worth, they don't lace in the caveat, yeah, I've got this Miami beachfront property. I've got a portfolio of $10,000, or not $10,000, $10 million. And I got this. I got a ranch in Texas. So my net worth is about 138 million at last estimate, but it's all theoretical money. It's not really worth that because it's not worth that until I sell it. So, I'm actually in my bank account, I only have about $8,426.13. So really, that's all I have. No, you have a Miami beachfront property. You've got a Texas ranch. That's worth something. That is absolutely, unquestionably worth something. So no, you can't go to the store and give somebody a jeweled lotus and then walk out with a bunch of steaks and pizza and milk and groceries. No, you can't. Not at most places. But you could go to a game store and trade it in for a whole lot of snacks. You could do that. You could. You could live off of those cards if you go to the right places and talk to the right people. It's not nearly as liquid as cash or even stocks. It takes a little bit more work. It's not just going onto your Robinhood account or your this or that and beep, boop, boop, press 2 buttons and there you go, it's sold. It's not quite the same. No, it's not. But it's not that much different. It's a few steps different, but to go, oh, it's $3,000, but it's just theoretical money. No, it's real money. It's real money. There's a couple of hoops you got to jump through to make it spendable, to liquidize it. Is that a term? But it's real money, buddy.
I play Legacy. I play Vintage. I won a Black Lotus earlier this year. So that's my second Black Lotus. That's the kind of collection we're talking about here. And that's not a brag. I'm just trying to make context for the fact that this is a financial hit, but it is not going to break me. In fact, I barely feel it at all.
Okay, that's great for you, but for the kid who went to Walmart and spent his $5 on a pack or whatever it is, he's like, I just got a feeling this is the day, and he opens up a jeweled lotus, it is a hit to him. It is, and he even says this. So that's great for you, Bosch, but for other people, not great. Not great. Especially the people that bought this a day, a 2, a 3, 4 before this, and then they get the news, oh, you can't play this anymore. That's a big fucking deal. That's a big deal.
In terms of my overall collection. So when we're talking about the financial fallout of this later, I just want you all to know where my personal investment in all of this lies. The 6 Mana Crypts and 5 Jewel Lotuses and 2 Dockside Extortionists, by the way, that I owned were all in decks. I had 14 or 15 decks built, and I chose where to put those based on the intended power level of the deck. I did not have 150 Jewel Lotus in a long box, just waited for the number to go up. That's not how I collect. I own cards that I'm going to play with. Now that we've set our ground rules and
all right, so we see his ground rules there. We see what he says. He's worth tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in Magic cards. If he's got Black Lotuses, I don't know which versions. I don't know the condition, but thousands upon thousands of dollars that he has in his collection. Okay, he's not sitting on it. He's not speculating on it. Fine, whatever. These hits don't really hurt him. Great, whatever. Let's go to conclusions.
And my final takeaways here, I'll start the sign-off process. Long-term, what is this going to do to Magic? What is this going to do to EDH? The answer is nothing.
Okay, see, how can you have that? He's 100% right. He's 100% right. It might turn some people off. It might piss them off. Maybe a few people sell their collections out of rage, spite. But the long term, as he says right here, is nothing. That's 100% correct. You know why? Because the community of Magic is so fucking big at this point. This is a insignificant blip on the radar. Yeah, people are upset. Yeah, people are mad. But in the grand scheme of things, it does not matter. Does not matter. So for him to earlier say that, oh, this is what is gonna kill Magic if you don't have any Wizards of the Coast, or if you don't have this, no, 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 no. It's the community that is built up around this game that keeps it in existence. It's like there's these plants called kudzu in the south. Kudzu vine. Okay. This is a plant that completely takes over. It just consumes and takes up things. Now imagine at one point this tractor was built by people that had a plan. We're going to do this thing. This tractor is Wizards of the Coast. Okay? They're going to come along. They've got this plan. Richard Garfield's got this whole idea. He's, oh, okay, here it is. We're going to have this, and it's going to have these arches, and he comes up with these plans. Going to make this house. It's got a specific purpose. It's got this idea. But with enough time, the community shows up. It's drawn. It's attracted to that. And you get this. What was under there? I don't fucking know. I have no idea what was under there. Doesn't matter at this point. That's irrelevant. This is the community. The kudzu vines are the Magic community. Wizards of the Coast is kind of irrelevant. Yeah, it's under there somewhere, and they do something, and every once in a while you see some rustling and some movement, and maybe a kudzu is a little bit bothered, and maybe even a whole section turns brown and dies and withers away, but it's replaced pretty soon after because that's just how it works, because new people come on board and different things happen. Yeah, Wizards of the Coast is irrelevant, and what keeps this game working is the community. So he's 100% right in that this does nothing to the grand scheme of things.
Nothing at all. There is a large group of people, the extreme casual player who would never spend more than a couple dollars on a card for their deck. Maybe they spend $0 and they only play what they open or could trade for. That person didn't have Mana Crypt Jewel Lotus anyway, and they don't care. There are the weirdly malicious weirdos that I called out at the beginning of the video who actively seem to want to punish everyone who's ever had a Mana Crypt or Jewel Lotus and make fun of them for doing that. And those people are living large right now. They don't care.
I don't know who those people are. I guess because you think that it's a bad idea to spend that amount of money on something. I don't know why that matters to you. There's all sorts of people that spend all kinds of money on things. So I haven't seen any of that. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I truly don't get it. But yeah, like he says here, you're living large, I think, is his phrase. So go you.
The people who play EDH with their friends, or they go to the LGS and that's their social circle, they're just going to play with whatever they get.
Correct. As it ever was. And
next year or the year after that, when the next commander set comes out and Mana Vault is the Chase Mythic, or Mana Bank, or whatever the hell they make for us that's slightly better than Mana Vault but slightly worse than Mana Crypt, that we have to buy now.
Yup. When Grief got banned in Legacy, you know where that value went? It's got sucked into Psychic Frog, got sucked into other things. It doesn't go away. It doesn't evaporate. People are upset. They change. He even talks about that in the CEDH implications. It's just how you roll with it. You just move along. It doesn't fucking matter. So again, to say that this is you buying proxies, you buying counterfeits is what this is all about, is what kills Magic, is just wrong. Is absolutely patently wrong.
Hogs will line up for their slop and chow it all down. They will be happy to get it. A year from now, nobody will talk about this. Nobody will care. Commander will continue thriving as a form.
No, I think now, and this is what we're going to read here in a second here, people are going to be talking about this. This was the time that this all happened. So, yeah.
My personal feelings are that I was tricked, that I was the mark in a success.
Okay, this is the biggest point here, and I tried talking about this before with some people, and they just did not seem to understand it. This part that he talks about here is a big, big deal. Listen here.
My personal feelings are that I was tricked, that I was the mark in a successful grift, that I saw a 3-card Monty game being played on the street, and I walked up and thought, hey, I have a pretty good memory. I think I could win this one. And obviously, the dealer palmed to the queen as soon as the game started, and I never had a chance to win. I feel a little stupid thinking that I could trust the people who steward this game that I love, and I still love. None of that changed.
Okay. Who stewards it? At the time, it was the rules committee. But you would be really, really naive and actually a dumb person if you think that there's zero communication between, at the time, the rules committee and Wizards of the Coast. There's 0% chance of that. Zero. It's known that they talk to each other. Of course they do. So Wizards of the Coast pulls the strings here. You could say, well, no, they don't. It was the rules committee. No, you silly goose. No. Wizards of the Coast is the one with the millions of the dollars. Lots of money. Millions of the dollars. Millions of them. Not the rules committee. Committee. It ain't them. And money is what makes moves, not people that say this is what's banned, this is what's not. So if you feel tricked by a company, why do you think it's the right thing to support that company? Why do you think a company that tricks its players and bamboozles them and 3-card Monties them is somebody that needs supporting? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. That's like saying, well, you won't find love. You can't have love if you don't stay with your abusive, horrible boyfriend that's constantly tricking you. You won't have your friends and your family. That'll all go away if you don't stay with him. What? Okay. Weird.
I feel stupid that I trusted these people in this way, and something as flashy and shiny as Jewel Lotus that turned out to just be dust in the wind. Just, we were sold snake oil, and they knew it a year ago, and they continued selling us the exact same snake oil, and we continued buying it.
Yep.
I feel a little mad, a little hurt, and not because of the financial loss, but because of...
But you're supposed to support that company. You're a little mad, you're a little hurt, you feel all these things. They tricked you, 3-card Monty, they palmed the queen, but you gotta support them. You gotta keep giving that company your money. You gotta, because without that company, the tricksy, fooling you, grifting you, terrible company, without them, there's no magic. Remember that, kids. Without this horrible, abusive, money-chasing monster, without them, there is not this thing that you love. It goes away. Remember that. All those game stores around the country, the thousands of them, they just vanish instantly. If you buy proxies, it all goes away. So it's on you. Don't you dare buy proxies. Don't you dare buy counterfeit cards. That company has to have you. Needs your money. You better give them as much money as you possibly can, because if you don't give them your money, you don't get to play the game anymore. The Wizards of the Coast police are going to show up and take your cards away and say, no more magic for you. That's exactly what's going to happen. I don't know where they come from because they're not a company anymore, but it'll happen. It's going to happen. No magic for you. So you better support this horrible, abusive company that tricks you and makes me feel bad and sad and all these bad things. You got to do it. Just got to do it.
The deception. I am, as I said at the top of the video, a longtime collector. I am someone who does not play with proxies myself, though.
Is it possible that because of how invested you are, you've got the, what do they call it? The sunk cost fallacy? Is that maybe a little bit of what's going on here, Bosch? Well, I've paid all this money and I've spent all this time, and I can't go and do proxies now. I couldn't. You could. You could see the error of your ways. You could see that this company that you're supporting is not a good company. And they treat their artists, they treat so many people really poorly. They treat different IPs like trash. So you could walk away. But boy, the amount of time and money and energy that you've spent on this game since you were 9 years old, that's a lot. That's a significant portion of your life. That would be hard to turn your back on. So I get that. I do. But you should be honest with your viewers and say that's what's going on here. If it is. I don't know. It's a thought.
If that is how you need to access the game, I don't hate you for it.
Doesn't hate you for it, but remember, if too many people do that, the game goes away. So don't hate you, but this thing that I've been playing and collecting since I'm 9 years old, it would go away. So I don't hate you, but just remember that It would all go away if you didn't give that money to Wizards of the Coast. Just keep that in mind.
Don't hate anyone for anything. Like it.
Don't hate anyone for anything. I'm pretty sure if I got you high on some MDMA alone in a room and we had a deep soul to soul communication, there'd be some people that you hate. I just have a feeling.
The stakes are too low on anything magic related to hate anyone.
Okay.
Hopefully that's been clear throughout.
Okay, magic related, sure.
My whole thing here. But I personally like owning cards. I think that's part of the thing.
Yeah, I can tell. You've made that abundantly clear. But don't push this on other people, buddy.
I am a spokesperson for that. I like foiling.
That's another part of this. He's a spokesperson. Does he get little handouts? Does he get little treats? Does he get little attaboys from Wizard of the Coast? Maybe. I don't know. But he might. And if he does, oh, you don't want to poke that bear too hard. No, you don't.
On my decks. And I like to think I am the person that Wizards of the Coast wants in the game. And I feel deceived for being that person right now.
And yet, you gotta give him your money. You gotta. Because if you don't, it all goes away. All the game stores, it all just goes away.
I have maintained for years that we don't need the reserve list anymore. That Wizards didn't know how to balance the external factors like I said.
Okay, we don't need the reserve list. Okay. Professors made this argument.
Secondary market.
But, you know what?
Way back in 1995, and they would do better now. They would handle it right. They wouldn't tank the market. They would get Power 9 and dual lands into the hands of people who want it without ruining the investments and the promise made of the reserve list to the people who already had these things. I'm not sure I believe that anymore. I still hate the reserve list, but if this week is any indication that the Magic community could not handle the reserve list being repealed, I kind of see that now, which is a tough pill to swallow because the reserve list sucks, and I want people playing Legacy and Vintage because those formats.
You do? You do, Bosch? You do? Because if you actually wanted them to play those things, you would encourage them to go and buy proxies of the cards that are cost restrictive for a large number of people. I don't know if you're aware of this, but inflation is not what they report. The CPI of 2.2 or whatever it is that they recently came out with? No. They keep on changing the basket of goods. Are you aware of that part, Bosch? Are you aware that we're really looking at a inflation rate of closer to like 8 over the last 5 years on average? They've printed more money over the past 5-ish odd years ever since the pandemic started than at any other point in history at a rate, maybe not totality, not in total numbers, but we went from about 20,000, I'm sorry, not 20,000, boy, that'd be nice, 20 trillion in debt to over 38 now. Are you aware of this, Bosch? Do you know what this is? Have you seen this, Bosch? Have you seen this? Are you aware of this? Do you know what this would be? Where is it? So the total U.S. national debt, $35 trillion. It's going up by about $1 trillion every 100 days. And that means, right down here, you can see it all the way in the bottom. Every single person to pay this off per citizen, $635,000 to pay off the national debt. Did you know that, Bosch? Did you know that? Do you know that? It's a lot of money. And do you know what that means? It means the purchasing power of your dollar has gone down more in recent history at a steeper rate, at a faster rate than in your lifetime. You can't pay rent to the same degree. Your dollar goes less far now than it did 5 years ago. So much less far. Are you aware of that? Do you understand those things? Because I don't think you do. And the tighter that the pinch comes on people's pocketbook, the less they're going to be able to access things like $800 underground seas, $500 underground seas, which means that they can't play this game that you proclaim to love. So,
indication that the Magic community could not handle the reserve list being repealed.
Yeah.
I kind of see that now, which is a tough pill to swallow because the reserve list sucks, and I want people playing Legacy and Vintage because those formats are great. I'm not sure how to balance all that. I'm still processing it, but it is how I currently feel. I'm not quitting Magic. I'm not selling off all my cards. I still have the game. I have made many of my best friendships through it. It is my sole source of income for the last 3 years now. I am locked into the Magic the Gathering train as far as it goes. You can't get rid of me that.
Yeah. Sunk cost fallacy to some degree. And yet, in basically the same breath, he's talking about how he's made so many friendships and this is a big part of his life. And yet he still thinks, according to the beginning of the video, right over here.
Oh, you are not supporting this community. I don't know what to tell you. Well, without someone buying Magic cards, you would not have Wizards of the Coast to make Magic for you to print cards of anymore. You also would not have...
Okay, that part is, yes. If you're not, if they make $0 from this game, then they would probably cut off that revenue stream and look for something else. But the next thing that he says here,
local game stores to go to play your cards. You would not have Wizards of the Coast to make Magic for you to print cards of anymore.
Fine.
You also would not have local game stores to go to play your fake cards.
Wrong.
You are not supporting this community. I don't know what to tell you.
Wrong. Because supporting this community doesn't mean buying from a abusive, terrible company. It means playing the fucking game. It means showing up and making friendships and high-fiving people when you get that top deck that you need and you see, oh, he did it. He pulled it out. How did he? I didn't think it was in the, what in the world? How in the world? I could have sworn I saw it in his graveyard. I just looked at your graveyard. I could have sworn I saw it. You had it? No. So then we get to this. He's wrong. So Bosch is right on some points. He's got some good, interesting takes there, but generally he's wrong. The community is stronger than Wizards of the Coast, and the community would continue playing this game despite Wizards of the Coast, in spite of Wizards of the Coast existing or not. So, yeah. And I don't know how he squares the whole problem of it's an abusive, terrible company that tricked me, and I used to think would be able to steward the reserve list into blah, 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 and be able to print those cards to get cards in the hands of people to make it more accessible. But don't buy proxies because that's bad. Can't be that accessible. We just need to have real cards that are accessible, but they're printing them, and so but it's not the same because it's done under the official banner of Wizards of the Coast, and it comes in a package. And if it does that, and it comes from them, and it has this little stamp on it in a particular way, then it's a real card. And no, what's real is you playing the game. That's what's real. You playing the game. I played multiple games with my wife last night at the kitchen table with proxy, counterfeit, whatever the fuck you want to call it, cards. And you know what it felt like? It felt like I was playing Magic. It felt like I was tapping cards sideways, turning them sideways, tapping them, whatever you want to say, drawing them, and they felt about the same. In sleeves, they felt identical. Out of sleeves, they felt basically identical. I can't tell a fucking difference. They feel the same. They're Magic cards. And I was able to purchase those for a minute fraction of the price of spinning the real ones. 4 Underground Seas in my deck? Yeah, I don't have. It's the least amount that would cost. TCG player. Underground Sea. What is the cheapest one? Underground Sea. Magic the Gathering. $480 for this one here. I don't know if they sell foreign ones. Foreign black border. Okay, those are expensive. Okay, damaged. Here, let's see if we can see a picture of a damaged one. So that looks pretty rough. Okay, yeah, just chewed up, bing ding, bing a dinged. Yeah, that's bad. And that is $540. They've got one. So if I wanted to get the least amount of ones that I could, 480 for 5, okay. Call it $2,000, $1,900 basically. It's a lot of money. And I was able to get those exact same cards for 12, 13, 14 bucks. So play the game for $14 or don't play the game unless I spend $1,900. And now the whole rules committee is controlled by Wizards of the Coast. How long do you think it's going to be before these bans are overturned so that they can go back to selling those cards? The company that is needing your money so desperately because without it, they would just go away. And they deserve your money, even though that they're a bunch of dickheads over there doing all of this stuff. Knee-jerking you around, whiplash this way, that, so bad that it's going to cause your net value in cards to ding, 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 ding. Yeah, I understand. if you're investing in Magic the Gathering, this is what I don't understand. If you're investing in Magic the Gathering, you're making a mistake. Like that again, not investment advice, but come on, what are you doing? That's not just throw the same amount of money into the S&P 500 and call it a day if that's what you want to do. Like you're not going to beat that with Magic the Gathering. Maybe in the short term you do, but in the long term, years, 10 years, 15, not happening. But yet, this is what I don't understand. The people that make the argument of the investment, oh, this is investment, but you shouldn't be investing in Magic. And there's other, like, okay, how do you make that all make sense in your head? I don't get it. It's sunk cost fallacy, I think is what it is. It's gatekeeping. I spent this much, so you should have to as well. I don't like the idea that of finding out that I didn't, I could have avoided spending that amount of money. So sell the cards, make your money back. And if it's such a good investment, you should be able to at least make your money back, maybe a little bit more if they've appreciated in value at all. They should have gone up at least at the rate of inflation. And if they can't even keep pace with that, then oh my God, you can't even keep pace of the, let's say the actual announced version, the displayed version of 2.2% that they're at right now or whatever it is, 2.5. If your cards can't do that, at least match that, then it's not an investment. It's just it's a problem. And now Wizards of the Coast has control of the rules here. Was it all 4D chess by them? Boy, I don't know. I kind of don't think so. That would take a lot of thinking and a lot of brain power that I don't think that they have to do. Oh, let's a year from now, let's release these cards. Let's come out with some cards that people really want, Jeweled Lotus. And then we'll ban them after the inevitable demand for those cards and the price of them because it's extremely powerful being able to get your commander out there. And we'll ban those cards later on and their uproar will be enormous and it'll be so uproarious that we'll say we are now taking control of the rules committee. What's funny here is that the member of the rules committee is not making this announcement. This is here on Wizards of the Coast. Maybe there is one from the Commander Rules Committee, the CRC, but it's all just so amusing. But yet, this is the company that we're supposed to support, according to Bosch and Roll. No. So I wrote this note, probably hurting self, not using proxies. Let's end on that. You're hurting yourself by not using proxies because that money that you're spending, and I'm talking about large sums of money. I'm not talking about the difference between $5 or $10 or something like that. I'm talking about hundreds or thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands. Or unless you want to play with a Blackboard or Black Lotus, then it is hundreds of thousands. But let's just keep it more realistic with what people were probably looking to proxy. Maybe most of the time, I'm guessing, is the dual lands. You're hurting yourself because buying those dual lands, the real ones, aren't doing you any favors unless you just really want to own it. And then this whole argument that I'm making is completely moot. You're just doing it because you like it. It's like learning that the gas mileage in a car A is horrendous and you could get a Prius that has really good gas mileage, but you don't want a Prius because you don't like how it looks and you want the giant diesel guzzling Ram truck. Not because you need it for work, but you just like it. You totally have the option to buy either car. It's not going to really hurt you either one way or the other, and you want to spend the money on this other one. Okay, then that's what you want to do. That's fine. But if you just need a car for transportation to get to point A to point B, and you're going, well, I guess for me it's that truck or I just don't get there. That's an interesting choice. No, I will not buy that Prius. I could, but I will not. Or functionally the exact same truck. It's like this. This is what it's like. You got let's say a Civic here. Just regular Civic, a 1990s Civic. It's, I don't know, $2,000 off Craigslist. It's from Honda, was built by Honda. It's a Honda Civic. It's $2,000. Gets you from point A to point B. Does it do it in style? It's fine. It's a good car. Does it? This is your dual land. It's $2,000 right here. Or you can get this one over here. It's called a Civic. It looks like a Civic. It drives exactly like a Civic. Gets you from point A to point B. Has the exact same the exact same gas mileage. What's different about it? Yeah, this was made by a Chinese knockoff company, and it didn't come from the Honda factory in Japan. And it's worse quality? No, actually, in a couple of areas, it's better quality. But okay, yeah, how much is it? It's $20. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's $20. Yeah, yeah, it's $20. Okay, so I can get from point A to point B in something that's $20, and in some ways it's actually better made than the other one. But if I buy the Honda Civic that's made by Honda, am I missing something here? Well, you're missing that you're spending an additional $1,980 to get that. Okay, why would I do that? Well, the company, and I don't believe it's about Honda at all. I think Honda's a good company, but the company is really they're kind of nasty to their customers. They say some stuff that is questionable. They do some stuff that is not nice. Yeah, they're not good people at that company. Okay. And I'm supposed to give them money? Mm-hmm. Why? Well, if you don't, all the roads go away. All the roads just go away. I don't think that's how that works. Oh, yeah, it is. The roads would go away if you don't buy that car for $2,000. Aren't the roads are just kind of like a whole separate thing that kind of came about because of cars? I thought, right? Isn't that Honda doesn't control the road? Well, Honda's got a say in the roads. Okay, maybe, but they're not the ones that are using the roads. Well, no, not. They do sometimes, but okay, sure, sometimes because there's whatever 10,000 employees at Honda or whatever it is. But we're talking about millions of people around the world, billions of people that use roads. I know. And if you don't buy that car, it all goes away. If everybody buys the $20 version of that car, all the roads, all driving goes away. Just driving goes away. You're just going to have to walk or use horses or roll wagons. You want to go back to wagons? So if I don't support this one company, then all the roads go away. Mm-hmm. No, that's wrong. That's 100% wrong. That's 1,000% wrong. The same is true of magic. Wizards of the Coast doesn't give two shits about you unless you're just giving them money. They do not care about you as a person at all. You are food for their bottom line and nothing else. They could not possibly care less about you. They are a giant corporation entity that is beholden to their shareholders and nothing else. And they treat their customers like dog shit. Why would you ever give them money? Why? Why would you do it? Ask yourself that. Go out throughout your day, throughout your week, and ask yourself, why would I give money to a company that Bosch and Roll says is bad and tricked him and makes him feel sad and depressed and deceived? Why would I give them money? And if you don't have an answer, then why are you giving them money?